find that okay. So you will see that how this okay, Rahul, can you make me host also so
Yes.
that can yes.
Okay, I make you now
Okay.
your host.
So if you go through the last year questions and compare with the syllabus, then you will find that how these have been framed up to. So generally there are 10 questions which are being asked. So Venerable Devanand Bhante has sent me some of the questions, last year questions. This questions is 2021. So if you go through, then you will find that how this syllabus has been compared. So if you see in our syllabus, there are uh, B.C.F.E. 102. If you see that origins of Buddhism and fundamental of culture. So in this sections, there are 4 subheadings of the syllabus also. You will find that first of all, it is a Buddhist critics of religio-philosophical environment. So we have discussed that what was the religious philosophical environment at the time of 6th century BC or at the time of the Buddha. So we had discussed about the 6 contemporary teachers at the time of the Buddha also, and what was the philosophical as well as the religious and social environment at the time of Buddha also. And in continuation of that, we have to discuss that what was the Buddhist culture prevailing at the time of 6th century BC. So we are discussing about all these things here. And second point is special characteristics of the life of the Buddha. So there are 2 parts of life of the Buddha. If you have syllabus, then you will see. And we had also discussed in the very beginning of our class that first of all, from birth to enlightenment and enlightenment to Mahaparinibbana. So there are 2 parts of life of the Buddha. And we had discussed on the basis of Pali text, life of Buddha, as well as in other text, Buddhist Sanskrit text, or inscriptions about life of the Buddha. Then we had our already discussed about the fundamental teachings of the Buddha. Here, the Four Noble Truth, Eightfold Path, Law of Dependent Originations, the main theories which are given. So, first of all, if you remember, then we had discussed about the 3 natures of existence, that all things are subject to impermanence, all things are subject to suffering, and all dhammas are subject to soulless. Sabbe sankhara anicca, sabbe sankhara dukkha, and sabbe dhamma anatta. The 3 natures of existence, technically known as Tilakkhana. In Sanskrit, it is called as 3 Lakshanas. So we had discussed in the very beginning of this section of our syllabus. And then we had also discussed about the nature of the empirical existence according to Buddhism. And then we had also discussed that how things are being cognized, how things are being known through the theory of perceptions. What is the theory through which we are able to cognize any object, or we are able to know the nature of the object? So, theory of perceptions we had discussed on the basis of our Pali text, especially on the Vidhamma. Then we had also discussed mind and matter. As we know that a man is a composition of mind and matter. In another way, it is said that a man is a composition of Pancakkhandhas, Rupa Khand, Vedana Khand, Sanya Khand, Sankhar Khand, and Beyond Khand. And in another way, a man is a composition of Chitta Chetasika Roop. And we had discussed in a very detailed manner all Pancakkhandhas, Chitta Chetasika Roop in a detailed manner. So this the relation between mind and matter we had discussed, and then we had discussed about the teachings related with the critical outlook, like the four pillars of sublime living, technically known as Brahma Viharas, namely universal friendliness or universal love, that is the metta or maitri, then compassion, karuna, mudita, unalloyed joy, and upekha, equanimity. So these are called as four sublime teachings of the Buddha, that is known as Brahma Vihara. And then we had discussed about the our adaptability and democratic nature, and what is the concept of democracy. On the basis of the Pali text, we had discussed in our previous year classes. And then lastly, we had discussed about the social, political, economic thought in Buddhism. So, a series of lectures were delivered on the aspect of the political aspect, as well as social aspects of Buddhism, then economic dimensions of Buddhism, and how these have been discussed in our Pali text. What are the duties of a king? What are the 10 royal duties which are enshrined in our Pali text? So we had discussed. So on the basis of these four subsections of the syllabus, you will see that how the questions have been asked last year. So you see that there are 10 questions. If you go through the questions which I have already sent to you, then you will find that the first headings is the regarding explain the significance of Buddhist culture. So we are discussing nowadays in our previous lectures this year we had started about origins of the Buddhism, that how Buddhism was originated at 6th century BC. So we had discussed regarding the origin of the Sangha, how Buddha gave the first sermon at Rishipatan Mrigdao, Saranath, Varanasi, and how the Sangha was formed, and how Buddha asked his fellow brethren not to come, not two of you go in the same directions in a village, but two of you go to the different directions, so that people of every village must get the teachings of the Buddha. So we had discussed in our that also, and nowadays we are discussing from the last two lectures regarding the concept of the Buddhist culture, how the Buddhism has been designated a universal culture, and how it became popular among the common masses. So we are discussing one of the points one by one, and in the last two classes you have seen we have discussed about the social aspects of the Buddhism, and today we'll again continue the same things. So these are the questions. If you go through, then second question is three characteristics of existence. Tilakkhana, that is the anicca, dukkha, and anatta. Sabbe sankhara anicca, sabbe sankhara dukkha, sabbe dhamma anatta. I had already supplied reading materials to you all, and Rahul Kapse and others too who have joined later on. They have not received the reading materials, but I will send mm, to them all these, you can say, reading materials later on also. And then again, the third question is human beings which we see I or self. So here there is a concept of sabbe dhamma anatta. that all dhammas are subject to soulless. There is no any concept of permanent entity in the personality of a being. So we have already discussed that how Buddhism does not believe a concept of permanent entity in the personality of a being. So here we Buddhism says that a man is a composition of the Pancakkhandhas, Rup Khand, Vedana Khand, Sanya Khand, Sankhar Khand, Beyond Khand, and how Buddhism develops this theory, and we have seen in Milinda Pahiyo, there is a dialogue between King Milinda as well as Acharya Nagasen, and how Acharya Nagasen defends that there is no permanent entity in the personality of a being. Na heta puggalo pulabdhi, sachikathena paramatho puggalo pulabdhi. Sankha samaya payati boharo namumattam Jadidam Nagaseno, Surseno, Birseno, Surseno. Acharya Nagasen says that there is no permanent entity in the personality of a being, but we call someone as a Nagasen, Sursen, Birsen, Sihasen, and others in name of that. But there is no permanent entity, and how Acharya Nagasen has given the simile of a chariot, and how chariot, there is no any concept of the chariot, but the parts of the chariot make a name of the chariot. In the same way, our personality, Pancakkhandhas, make a personality, but individually, the Pancakkhandhas do not have any permanent entity or a concept of the self. So in that way, we had discussed about it, and then there is a importance of mindfulness with respect to foundation of mindfulness. Here, Satipatthana, that is the presence of mindfulness. So it has been asked in this question, but this is not in our, you can say, the prescribed syllabus. Although this questions has been asked, so I will discuss this question when we will finish our this Buddhist culture concept, how the Buddhist it will finish. Then we will discuss about the mindfulness also, and how mindfulness has been discussed by the Buddha in the Satipatthana Sutta. We'll discuss later on. And later, the next question is the how the Buddha's charter of the inquiry illuminate is Kalam Sutta. So in Kalam Sutta, Buddha has given the right of equality, freedom of expression. So here Kalam says that everyone has the right to express himself, and Buddha says that everyone has the right to express his own ideas. And in the Kalama Sutta, Buddha has given the right of equality to everybody. And Buddha also says that all persons are equal. No one is inferior, no one is superior. One is inferior because of his actions, and one is superior because of his actions. Not by caste, a person is inferior, and not by a caste, a person is superior. So, in that, in Kalam Sut, based upon that, you have to discuss that how Buddha has expressed his ideas or thoughts related with the freedom of concept of freedom or expression, expressing his own ideas clearly. Then next question, if you see, sixth question is four sublime states. How the four Brahma Viharas, four pillars of sublime teachings of the Buddha, namely Metta, Karuna, Mudita, and Upekha, how these four pillars of the noble way of living can bring peace to the society as well as to the country as well as to the humanity. So this is, has been asked here in a very brief manner. This question has been, and then there is a next question: 10 paramitas. Thus, Paramitas are those human values through which a bodhisattva can perform the human duties and can get a state of eternal bliss. And how can a person get enlightenment? Through performing the 10 types of paramitas. So, param gatam iti paramita. Paramitas are those human values through which a person can go from one state of suffering to the another state of existence, that is the eternal bliss. So this has been asked in the next question, and the next eighth question is so how to promote respect and render services to the society by adopting the four attitude sangaha Bathu. So there are five, you can say four types of Bathus or the objects which can be congregated. And this is another name of the four Brahma Viharas. And it has been discussed in another such Chag, Dhiti, and Upekha. So there are four types of, you can say, main teachings of the Buddha which have been discussed in the text Jatakas. So how a person by following the such tyag, that is the sacrifice, such means truth, and dhriti, that how a person be becoming ardent and energy full, idlelessness. How can a person get a state of eternal bliss? This has been asked. And next question is scrutinize according to the teachings of the Buddha how an individual conduct oneself as a member in the society to ensure social harmony. So, what are the factors which can bring social harmony? Besides these four types of Brahma Viharas, there are also factors through which a person can get a state of enlightenment or a state of eternal bliss. So, by performing the Kusal Dharmas like Seal, Samadhi, Panya, the three steps for getting a state of eternal bliss, one can get a state of eternal bliss. So these are the in the suttas also Chul seal, Madhyam seal, and Panit seal. So how in the Samaya Phala Sutta or Brahmajala Sutta or in Bhatta Sutta, Buddha has discussed about these Chul seal, Madhyam seal, in another way, that is Pancha seal, Atta seal, or Dasa seal. How the 10 precepts and the Saddha, Sati, Samadhi, Viriya, and Panya, that is the Panch Indriyas, Panch Balas, and the Bodhipakya, Dhamma, Sat Bhujangas, how by performing the moral, you can say, factors, a person can bring the social harmony. So we have also discussed earlier in our classes. So in that way, this question has been asked in that way. And next, last question is has been asked, elaborate the importance of spiritual friendship, Kalyan Mitrata. What are the factors which are responsible for a Kalyan Mitra? Who can be a Kalyan Mitra? Based upon the text, we have to explain this question. Buddha is said as a best Kalyan Mitra. And in absence of Buddha, who can be a Kalyana Mitra? So it is said that a person who is a Pitakdhar or Nikayadhar or Matikadhar, he can be a best Kalyana Mitra. If these Suttadhar, Binaydhar, and Matikadhar are not available, then Pitakdhar, only one who knows the Pitkas, he can be also a Kalyana Mitra. And if his Pitakdhar is not available, then Nikayadhar, like you can say Digh Nikaya, Majjhim Nikaya, Sanjukta Nikaya. If a person knows the any one of the five Nikayas, he can be a best Kalyan Mitta. In absence of Nikaya Dhar also, if a person who is in a stage of Sotapatti Magga, Sagdagami Magga, Anagami Magga, or Arhat Magga, he can be also a Kalyan Mitta. So these have been discussed in our text also. So based upon these, we have these questions have been asked, and we have to be also prepared for the next, you can say, our this year exam, that how we have to prepare for this. So regarding these 10 questions, if you have any doubt or questions, you can ask at the end of the paper. You can say the lecture when we'll finish it. Now we are coming to our the main point which uh, we were discussing in the last. So, if you remember the last lecture which I was delivering, if you have any question, you can ask. Then, otherwise, I can move to the next point, what we had discussed in our last lecture. So we were discussing about that how who can be, you can say, we are discussing about the personality of a Buddha. That what are the special attributes of the Buddha through who Buddha became very much popular among the common masses in the 6th century BC. Why he became much popular in Magadha, and after his Parinibban, how his teachings became more popular through the 9 emissaries at the time of the Third Buddhist Council sent by King Asoka, and how it became much more popular among the Southeast Asian country. So we are discussing in the our last 2 3 lectures about the personality of a Buddha, and we had discussed about that what are the 9 main you can say names through which Buddha is known by other names like Bhagava, Arha, Samba, Sambuddho, Pichacharan, Sampanno, Sugato, Lokbuddhi, Purus Dhamma Sarathi, and Bhagava. So these are the 9 epithets, 9 attributes through Buddha is also known through other names also. And what are the other qualities in his teachings of the Buddha so that he became more popular among the common people? So we are discussing in our last class. And today we are going to discuss, and in the last we had also discussed by giving the example of the that how in Alagapadum Sutta, Buddha says that Dvame Bhikkhame Desemi Dukkham Cha, Dukh Nirodham Cha. And again, Buddha say this that Kulupamam Bhikkhave Desemi Nitharanai Na Bini Bandhai. That I teach or preach the Dhamma only for crossing from one bank of the river to the another bank of the river, not getting tied with the boat, but be free from the state of the suffering, or you can say getting a state of eternal bliss. So we had discussed with the help of Alagadupama Sutta, as well as in such a Sanyutta also we had discussed about that. So now we are going to discuss the page number 3rd of our reading materials. If you go through the reading material, then you will find that how in the reading material, 3rd page, Buddha is discussing about the, you can say, rituals of rites and rituals. And Buddha was not believing in the rites and rituals. And he was deadly against of the rites and rituals. And he was saying that those who are engrossed in the rites and rituals, they are not going to get a state of eternal bliss. But in that way, he is saying that a person must be in a state of getting a state of eternal bliss. And in that way, he is saying that a person must be knowing about all these, you can say, rites and rituals. And we are quite aware that during the later Vedic period, how people were engrossed with the rites and rituals, and they were saying that animal sacrifices were going on. And some of the contemporary thinkers at the time of the 6th century BC, people were also saying that how that there is no any sin in killing a living being, or there is no any sin by giving any yajna or oblation at the bank of the river, or taking a bath in the, you can say. And some of the thinkers were in favor of fate or luck, and they were known as niyativad. So teachers, some of the contemporary teachers were in favor of that whatever you wish, you do, you perform your duty, and there is no sin or there is no any merit by giving performing the moral duties also. So in that way, we have seen in some of the suttas, like Samaya Phala Sutta and others, that how Buddha discourages the Brahminical sacrifices in the name of animal slaughters and other things. And in that, in Dikh there is a sutta which is known as Kutadanta Sutta. And there is a Brahman who is known as, you can say, Kutadanta. And Kutadanta is very much famous in the sense of giving social aspects of the teachings of the Buddha. And here Buddha discusses about the royal duties of a king also, that how a king has to perform his duty related with the his people of the society. So in Kutadanta Sutta also we see that how a person can conduct his sacrifice. And Buddha had delivered a, you can, series of discourses on the, you can say, Dan, Seal, Chanti, Virya, Pragya. There are 6 paramitas mainly, but in Jatakas we are having 10 types of paramitas. So mainly the 6 paramitas, that is the Dan, generosity, seal, that is the morality, Shanti, perseverance, Virya, energy, Pragya, wisdom. So these Dan, Sila, Shanti, Virya, Dhyan, and Pragya. Dhyan is the concentrations. So these 6 are the main, you can say, the teachings through which Buddha has discouraged the animal slaughter, or you can say sacrifice. And he says that a person must do work related with the generosity, morality, heavens, danger, corruptions of sense desires, that is the indriya janita, sukha siksha, and the, you can say, klesas, which are coming out of our sense desires. So these are some of the things which have been discussed in the Kutadanta Sutta. Again, in the next, we are coming to that how Buddha has deliberately saying about the social order of at the time of the 6th century BC. And as we know, and I have also discussed earlier in the social dimensions of Buddhism, that Buddha says that all persons are equal. Chattaro banna samsama hunti. All are equal. No one is superior. No one is inferior. And Buddha also says that one whosoever says that one is superior or one is inferior, he is associated with the false views. Papakam ditti katam. So Buddha says that one whosoever does the immoral, you can say, things related with that, he immoral, you can say, thoughts related with the social distinction, that one is superior and one is inferior. And Buddha says the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras all are equal. No one is inferior or no one is superior. Not by caste a person is superior, not by caste a person is inferior. One is superior because of his actions, one is inferior because of his illness. In that way, he has put a social order also, and but in place of the Kshatriya Varna, four, you can say, Varna system, he gave the four stratas of our thoughts, that is the Bhikkhu, Bhikkhuni, Upasak, and Upasika. These were the four, you can say, stratifications of all human beings, which have been discussed in our Pali text also. So Buddha says that no one is inferior, no one is, you can say, superior. So in place of, and we are also quite aware that after the passing of the Buddha, Mahaprabhu, how Upali was, who was barber by caste, and he became champion of Vinay, and he was asked to compile the teachings of the Buddha related to the rules and regulations for monks and nuns, as depicted in the Parajika and Pachetya. So he compiled the whole Vinay Pitaka. So we are quite aware that Buddha was not making any distinction among the caste also, and by making any, you can say, inferior persons. And we are also having the examples of Ambapali, that how Ambapali, who was a courtesan by his by her profession, but she was also allowed to join the Sangha. And we later on we know that she became a nun also, and she has spoken in great reverence to the Buddha in Ammapali theory, and which are depicted, and how Ammapali theory has expressed that all things are subject to impermanence. And she has discussed that how during the young age she was very beautiful, and now she has become old, and all our my beauty has been, you can say, gone away. So she has realized the teachings related with the three lakshanas, that all things are subject to impermanence, all things are subject to suffering, and all dhammas are subject to soulless. So we see that how the teachings of the Buddha are available related with no distinction among the varnas system in the verse. And in that way he had maintained the social order at the time of 6th century BC also. Again, we see that he says that not by the caste, not by any, you can say, taking birth in the law, or a person cannot become superior or inferior. And we have seen in Vinay also that how Pali and others have given. And there was one another quality of the Buddha, that he he had uplifted the low persons also. Low persons means those who were the he raised the status of the scavengers or the low people who have taken birth also. And we have seen also in the case of that how a killer and the jail inmates, how the persons who were living in the prison after releasing from the prison, how they were also allowed to join the Sangha also. So in that way, we have seen that how he has raised the status of the low people, namely scavengers, chandalas, pukusa. There were so many, you can say, low people who were living, and Buddha, by allowing them in the Sangha or by raising the status of their living standard, he gave a social order at that time also. And we are also aware through his teachings that Buddha also raised the status of women also. And he says that women are having same intellect or the wisdom what the men have, and women can also get a state of Buddhahood, and they can become Buddha also. And sorry, they can become Arhat. They can go through the path of Sotapatti, Sagdagami, Anagami, and Arhat. They can become Arhat. And in uh, through the theories, if you go through the some of the theories, you will find that how Buddha has praised some of the intellect of our nuns. And Buddha says that some of the theories like Patachara, Mahakacharna, and others also, they are more intelligent than the monks, male monks or bhikkhus also. And he sometimes Buddha has praised the intellect of theories also, or nuns also. So in that way, Buddha did not make any distinction, and he raised the status of the low people also, namely chandalas, Pukusa, scavengers, those were road sweepers like that, and he has made, you can say. So again, there was one criminal, Angulimal. If you hear that how Angulimal, how Buddha has a dialogue with Angulimal, and lastly, Angulimal became disciple of the Buddha, and he was also allowed to join the Sangha also. So we have seen that how the criminals, scavengers, low people, they were allowed to join the Sangha, and in that way, he has he the Buddha had raised the social status of the low people, and in that way, he had maintained the social order at the time of the 6th century BC. Again, Buddha says in the next that Buddha also discourages some of the flattery words in praise of Buddha himself or in other people also. Buddha was not in favor of criticizing anyone or in making praise of anyone. So these are some of the qualities of the Buddha, that how Buddha was deadly against of the praise of any persons or criticizing any person. Even we are having a reference that Upali, first of all, he was a disciple of Lord Mahavira. And from Mahavira, Niganthanath Putta, he came to the Buddhist Sangha to join the Buddhist Sangha, and he became a disciple of the Buddhist Sangha. But Buddha did not allow him to criticize Lord Mahavira. And Buddha was having great respect to Lord Mahavir also. And Lord Mahavir who was 8 years older than the blessed our Buddha, Siddhartha Gautam. And in Sangiti Sutta also we see that after passing away of Nikanthanath Putra Lord Mahavir, there was a great debate as well as you can say conflict among the followers of the Lord Mahavir. And then Buddha also says that, and the disciples of the Buddha also decided that later on, after the passing away of Lord Buddha, there should not be any conflict among the followers of the Buddha, so that a council or congregation of the teachings of the Buddha must be held. So in Sangiti Sutta, which is one of the 34 suttas of Digha Nikaya, we find all these descriptions. Again, in the first sutta, Brahmajala Sutta, Buddha says about there were Supiya Nama Paribrajaka. So, Supiya named Paribrajaka, ascetic one, he was criticizing the Buddha also, and he was making praise of someone. So in Brahmachala Sutta, we are having that how Buddha discourages that no one is allowed to criticize anyone, and everyone has the right to do. And in that way, Buddha was also considered as a teacher of inclusive thoughts also. And he says that if the teachings of the Buddha are available in other teachings also, you can follow it. Otherwise, there is no need of criticizing other thoughts or views also. So, in that way, he was not in favor of making praise of anyone or giving flattery words in praise of anyone or in criticizing anyone. So, he was not in favor of that. Again, this mm, next point we are going to discuss that there was one special quality of the Buddha also, that whenever Buddha and his Sangha was invited for the meal or the lunch or midday deal, midday you can say meal, then after the meal, Buddha and his followers, or you can say the Sangha members, the venerable monks, used to give the teachings of the Buddha to the common mass. And in the Hindu tradition also, you will find that if any recluse approaches to the house of any person in the village, after having lunch, he also give preaches some of the things related with the Ram Katha or any Hitopadesh or any, you can say, the well teachings of any thought, you can say. So still in Buddhism also, we find that how Buddha, after having taken a meal from any, you can say, family or any person, even if you remember that Pali, who was the courtesan of Baisali, she invites the Sangha as well as the Buddha for the meal also. And after taking meal, Buddha preaches to the all courtesans there. And then after hearing the teachings of the Buddha, Ambapali decided to join the Sangha. So this is the thing that how after taking meal, the Buddha was giving sermons to the common people as well as if Buddhi is not available, then his Sangha members used to give the teachings or sermons in absence of Buddha also. Again, Buddha, next point we are saying that Buddha was saying that after my death or demise, Mahapandipan, there will be no any teacher. But my teachings will be your teachers. Dham and Binay will be your teachers and the guide. And Buddha did not appoint any teacher after his demise. And Buddha says that if you see that the things are suitable in the Dhamma and Vinaya, then you can accept it as a teachings of the Buddha. Otherwise, you can not accept the teachings of others, you can say. So in that way, we are saying that how Buddha was in favor of, and Buddha did not appoint any person as his successor also. So same thing we are also having in Guru Nanak, in Sikh religion also. In Sikh religion also, we find that Guru Nanak did not appoint any teacher after his, and he says that whatever the Guru Granth Sahib, that the Guru Granth, the teachings which are available in the Guru Granth, that will be your teacher. In the same way, Buddha also says, already Buddha said Guru Nanak is the later stage. So I am just giving you a comparison that how Buddha was very dynamic at 6th century BC, in the 6th century BC, and he had already said that after my Mahapadpan, there will be no any person who will be successor, and but my Dham and Vinay will be your teacher or Sattha. So in that way, this is the one of the great quality of the Buddha, and in that way, the Sangha provided with a strong and comprehensive constitution in the form of Patimukha rules. And we have seen that how in the Vinaya Pitaka, Buddha has framed the 227 rules for the nuns and 311 rules for the nuns. All these rules and regulations for the monks and nuns, they are available in the text Patimukha. Patimukha is the name of the book, which is also known as a code of conduct for the monks and nuns, or which discusses the rules and regulations for the monks and nuns. And this is of two types, Bhikkhu Patimokha and Bhikkhuni Patimokha. Patimokha is the code of conduct, and it is made up of two words, Pati and Mokha. In Sanskrit, it is called as Prakti Moksha, but in Pali, it is called as Pati and Mokha. Pati iti rakhati, Mokha iti mukhayati apaikehi akuslehi dhamme. That Patimukh is that which keeps and preserves, and it protects from the immoral dhammas, or you can say immoral things. That is called as Patimukh. Patimukh is the name of a text which discusses the code of conduct related with the monks and nuns, and which are divided into two parts. That is the Bhikkhu Patimokha and Bhikkhuni Patimokha. Under the Bhikkhu Patimokha, there are 227 rules, and under the Bhikkhuni Patimokha, there are 311 rules. Under the Bhikkhu Patimokha, there are 8 headings, starting from the Parajika, Sanghati Sesa, Anita Dhamma, Nisangya Pachitya, Pachitya, Adhikaran Samatha, Sekhya Dhamma. There are 8 headings, but there is no Anita Dhamma for the Bhikkhunis. Bhikkhuni Patimukha, there are 311 rules, but there is no Anita Dhamma. Anita Dhamma is meant for only for the monks. And these two rules for the Anita Dhamma, they were prescribed with the suggestion of Visakha Migar Mata by the Buddha. Buddha had framed these two rules on the suggestion of Visakha, who was the, you can say, great nun, who was the Migar Mata, the mother of the Migar. So that is why it is called as Visakha Migar Mata. So in that way, it is called as a, you can say, mm, a strong, you can say, administrative, and the Sangha was having the 227 rules for the monks and 311 rules for the nuns. So in that way, a Sangha was having a strong administrative setup, and these 227 rules for the monks and 311 rules for the nuns, they were recited on every Purnima, Chatudasi or Panarasi, in as a, you can say, recitation of the Patimokha rules in the Sangha, and all the monks and nuns who were attending this Patimokha, they were confessing their rules and regulations where they have made any offense or they have committed any, you can say, offense, and on the basis of the offense, committing the offense, the punishment was given by the Sangha. So this was the administrative setup of the our Sangha. So tolerant is next point. Tolerant is spirit shown to the convert as seen in the Pali. Also, Buddha advised the former disciple Mahavir to continue to give support to his teacher after his conversion. So we had discussed this point, that how Upali, who was the previous disciple of Lord Mahavir, and later on he joined the Buddhist Sangha. But again, the former disciple, you can say, the Upali was asked to continue the, you can say, follow the teachings of the Lord Mahavir also. So in that way, we are having these sins. So let us finish here, and the remaining point we'll discuss in the our next class. If you have any questions, we can discuss some of the things. We are having 5 to 10 minutes for the discussions. If you have any question or doubt related with our questions which were asked in the last year or today's lecture, you can ask. Anyone? Sayuri?
Professor, thanks for teaching. I gonna read through the old papers again.
Okay, you go through the last year questions also and try to understand that how we have uh, made interactions in our previous classes, and how the each topic we have discussed, and again we can discuss those points later on also when we will finish our this Buddhist culture lecture. Then again we can continue to discuss some of the naughty problems related with our syllabus as well as the questions also. So, Momori, you have any question you can ask?
So far is okay. I will read the questions and I try to prepare the answer by reading
Okay.
the text.
So, are you following my lecture or not? Or I am going very fast? May I make my lecture very slow, or as it is what I am doing? If you feel any difficulty in understanding the lecture, you can ask me.
Yeah, if you can, could you speak a little bit slower?
Okay, okay. Rahul, if you have any question?
Basically, I don't have any question, but when the question will come in paper, describe the qualities of Buddha, then how we should describe?
Qualities of the Buddha, what the quality are related with the, you can say, Buddha, when the personal questions are being asked related with personality, or what are the attributes through which Buddha has become a great person. And we are also aware that Buddha was also associated with 32 types of Mahapurusha Lakshana. Buddha was when all the Chakravarti king, has 32 types of Mahapurusha Lakshana, as well as 82 types of Anubhyanjanas also. So Buddha was also a Chakravarti king. He was a son of a royal king Suddhodana, and he was having all the 32 types of Mahapurusha Lakshana, as well as 82 types of Anubhyanjanas also. Besides these, we are also having the good qualities through which Buddha became more popular among the common masses. Like we are discussing that how the teachings of the Buddha related with the how he discusses that all persons are equal, how he discarded that the four varna system. If a person sees that Brahman is superior, Kshatriyas are not superior, or by you can say Sudras are inferior. By taking birth in any, you can say, low family, a person can be low. But Buddha did not allow it. And Buddha says that नजच्छा होती वसलो नजच्छा होती ब्राह्मणो कमुना होती ब्राह्मणो कमुना होती vasalo, that not by taking birth in any caste, but by action a person is superior, or by action a person is an inferior one. And other qualities like that how he has taught the four Brahma Viharas, Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, and Upekha, and other teachings related with the social aspect, economic aspects, what we are discussing. Even the some of the points that how he has raised the status of the scavengers and the low persons also, and giving a social status in the society also. He did not made any discrimination among the, you can say, criminals, as well as the prison inmates also, those who were coming from the prisons. So in that way, these are the qualities through which he became a great person and he became more popular. So in that way, you can explain about the personality of a Buddha.
Okay, thank you.
So you also go through the last year questions. Still, there are some points we'll discuss later on. And if you feel any difficulty, then we can discuss the things. Any more question if you have your colleague
Anupama.
Yeah.
Anupama?
No.
Is it clear?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
And Hidako? Any
Yes,
question?
I'd like to read question last year's questions number 5's Kalama Sutta.
Kalama Sutta.
Yeah, yes.
Kalama Sutta, we have discussed that it discusses about the freedom of expression, right of expression for every person. Every person has a right to express his own ideas. And Buddha was in favor of, you can say, reasoning as well as logic. That whatever he has preached, it was based upon the logic as well as reasoning. And that is why it is said that all teachings of the Buddha are scientific in nature, and these teachings of the Buddha are having the scientific temper also, because there is a systematic study of all these things. Systematic study means that the teachings which are associated with reasoning as well as logic. So by giving and in the Kalama Sutta, how Buddha says about the right of expression of his ideas, and he says that everyone has the right to express his own ideas. And if you go through the Constitution of India, and all the fundamental rights of a person has been taken from the, you can say, our teachings of the Buddha, and all the freedom of expression of our thought, which is available in the fundamental rights of a person, enshrined in our Constitution of India, you will see that how the roots are available in the teachings of the Buddha also. So that is a separate discussion. If you wish to study the Kalama Sutta in a detailed manner, we will discuss in course of our lectures. So when our course will finish, then we can discuss these things also.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor.
Okay, see you next week. We will discuss again. Okay, thank you
Yes.
very much.
Thank
Thank you very much, Professor.
Take care. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.